Using Microsoft Word, word processing for beginners. The basics. To start Microsoft Word, on your desktop, at the bottom left of the screen, locate your Start menu and left-click. Locate Programs or All Programs. This will differ depending on the version of Windows you have installed. Through the menu that appears, scroll and locate Microsoft Office, and again the version will depend on what is installed on your machine. I have Office 2013. Left click to open, and you will find Word, in this case Word 2013, on that menu. It's often indicated by a book icon with a W. Double click to start the package. And Microsoft Word opens. So we have a new document, and I'm going to choose a blank document template. Double click to open, and that's all we have, a blank piece of paper effectively. So we just type and words appear. Okay, so I'm going to use my cursor, and you'll notice that I'll just move it. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm moving it around what is called the insertion point, and I'm going to use the cursor keys on the keyboard to move the insertion point between the word words and appear. Okay, so that is the flashing insertion point, and whatever I type next will appear at the insertion point. That could be the end. I don't know how I managed that. Or it could be at the start of a sentence. Wherever the insertion point is flashing is where your text will appear. Okay, and you notice if I move my cursor, and I'm hoping you can see this, it is an I-beam. Okay, that's what it's called. It looks like a capital I, it's the I-beam, and I can place it between any point of text and left click, and that is where my insertion point will then appear. When you have text you do not want, you can delete it. On your keyboard you are looking for the backspace delete, which is an arrow in the top left of the main keyboard, and the arrow on the key, the illustration, is pointing to the left. Every time I click on that key, one character, including spaces, would be deleted. If I use the delete button from the center of the keyboard, it is next to end and beneath insert, then it will delete characters to the right of the insertion point. So if I put it next to words, when I press delete, it will remove one character to the right at a time. And the backspace delete removes one character to the left at a time. To select your text, left click. I have the I-beam demonstrating where that cursor point would be. Holding down the left mouse button, drag, in this case to the right, and release the button. I've now selected or highlighted the text. Don't confuse this with this highlighting option, which only affects coloration. What I'm actually doing is selecting the text, but it is often referred to as highlighting. Left click and hold, drag and release. With this text highlighted, I can now left click and hold again, drag that text to another section in the document and release, and it has effectively cut, copied and pasted this text to another part of the document. Other means of selecting text. Double click, 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 will select one word. Clicking twice, triple click, will select the entire paragraph. If you wish to select a line, place your cursor in the gutter, okay, this space before the beginning text of a paragraph, and simply left click, and it will select one line from that paragraph. Single line, single line, single line. Double click, one word, 1, 2, 3 clicks, select an entire paragraph. Multiple options for selecting text within Word. So let's have a look at what we can do when we've selected our text. We noticed earlier that we can highlight it. And, okay, that's unhelpfully not taken off the highlight, which is what I'm trying to do there. There we go. Having selected the text, we can choose styles. We can choose different colors. We can have strike through, subscript, superscript, and increase the font or decrease the font sizes for the selected text. From the menu on the Home tab, I can also choose other fonts, which you can see in the background are automatically applied, giving you the opportunity to see how your text will be viewed. And you may also apply styles, which we'll look at in a later lesson. Selecting text, we can also apply paragraph alignment. So currently this is a left aligned text. It is matched up to, let's just put my rulers on here, go into view, left click rulers, and you can see if I just hold here for a moment, the text is left aligned to that invisible line, that left align marker on the page. Okay, I can click center, and the highlighted text is centered, each line of text centered within the borders of the page. I can choose a right alignment. Again, it's aligned to the right border of the page. And you can choose what's called justified text. You may often be asked to justify text for publication or to be submitting work for marking. Justified text means that Word is inserting spaces between your words so that the left and right edges of the text are both aligned. So it is as if you had performed a left align and a right align simultaneously. Word puts the spaces in so that the text matches both left and right aligned sections, and that's called justified text. We can perform a spell check on our text. Now this is a copy and pasted Latin or fake Latin text, and Word doesn't recognize hardly any of it as real words, in English at least. So if you right click on a red highlighted word, Word will offer you alternatives that I could select to replace those words, for example. However, you may wish to word spell check the entire document. So with your flashing insertion point or cursor placed at the beginning of your text, on the Review tab of the ribbon, left click on Spelling and Grammar, and Word opens the spelling sidebar over here. And now often, I'm seeing if I can do it, we can separate that from the sidebar for convenience. It depends how you feel about. I'm just trying to put it back there, and of course now it won't. Never mind. So it's offering me an alternative for this word, and I can choose to accept one of those alternatives and left click on change, and it has now changed that word in the text. Similarly, I can choose to ignore this spelling of what Word thinks is this word. I shall ignore it. And that word might, because these, let's have a word I've used often. I have no idea which one. Let's just use this at over here. I can say ignore all, in which case every time that the UT is used in this document, it will be ignored by the spell checker. If there's a word that I'm quite happy with the spelling with, I'm just going to select decamp here. And of course it's ignoring it. I don't wish to actually, I'm going to have to do this as an example and not actually choose the word. If you're happy with the spelling of the word, but it simply isn't recognized by WordZone Dictionary, you can add. So simply left click add, and this enormous and its spelling will be added to Words Dictionary, not just for this document, but for all future documents that you happen to be checking through. When you're happy with all the changes that you've made, or Word tells you that it has already checked all of your document, it may offer to restart from the beginning. When you're finished with the spelling, left click on the X to close, and you can continue to edit your document. How many words do I have? Very quickly, have a look in the bottom status bar, and you will see that there are 4,000 words in this document. You can also highlight parts of the text and find that you have 94 words in that selection of the 4,000 words entirely. You may also look on the review tab of the ribbon and find this tiny icon here, ABC123, which is word count. Left click and you will have the word count pop-up window, which tells me I have an 11-page document of 4,000 words, 21,000 characters without spaces, 25,000 with spaces, 89 paragraphs, 392 lines. So you have many options within that word count. We can also switch off footnotes and endnotes if you use them, and text boxes so that they are not counted. When you're happy with the appearance of your document and you wish to have a printed paper copy, on the top left at the file menu, left click and look for print, left click. You will find a nice big print button, and as long as you have the printer selected, okay, from your list of printers, and it's going to print one copy by default, just hit the big print button and away it will go. Or you can choose multiple copies, particular pages, let's say 3 to 7, okay, of my 11 pages. One page print pages 1 to 2, all pages 8 to 11. Print on both sides by default. You should do that. However, you will have an option to print on one side or both sides flipping along the long edge rather than the side edge. Document can be collated into stacks if you have multiples, stacks of individual sets of page, and that's usually a default. The printing is in portraiture. Here you may choose landscape and lose some of your text in this particular document. Page size A4 to A5 and A3 depending on your printer, and the margins will usually have been selected with the document. You can also choose to have multiple pages on a single sheet, and you can choose to have up to 16 pages on a single sheet. So this entire 11-page document will be printed to one page in this example. One last step, rather than go through all of that, if you're happy with the default options from your quick access toolbar here on the top left of the screen, if I left click to drop the menu, I have a quick print option currently switched off. I'm just going to left click to switch that on. I now have a quick print button, and on left clicking that button, the document will be printed double-sided, one page to a page on A4 to my default printer in a single copy. After you've been typing your 4,000 words, you want to make sure that you have access to this again, even if you have printed it, in case you need to edit and print it or supply it in some other format to someone else, or create a new document with this as your template. You need to save this file. On the top left of the screen at the File menu, left click. Choose from the menu Save As, particularly if this is the first time you're saving the document. Choose the location of your save. I'm using this computer, and I will save to my Documents folder. Left click to select your folder. Here's my library documents and the name of the file, which you can replace. I'm going to suggest very briefly that you use the Edinburgh University file format, which will have the year, the month, the day, the title of the document, and an author name. And this will enable you to find this document more easily among a list of perhaps 1,000 documents over the working time of your project. I will then simply press save on the bottom right, and it's saving as a Word document, you'll notice, and the file is saved. You'll notice that it is saved because the name of the file has changed at the top here. If you're continuing to edit this file and you don't wish to keep various versions, you can simply left click Save on the quick access toolbar. For security and to ensure that you always have a copy of this document, I am suggesting that every so often, perhaps every half an hour, if you're doing a lengthy bit of typing, or if you're saving every day, only the once, one change day to a document, then save the file with a new date. Otherwise, every half an hour on File, Save As, and choose a different location. So you could choose your university provided OneDrive account, or from your computer you can browse and locate, there's not one on here at the moment, but I would have a USB drive plugged in here that I could save a second copy of that file to. Having multiple copies in multiple locations is the safest way to ensure you will always have access to these lengthy documents.